Hello, and welcome to the April episode of the Here's the Stitch podcast. Take 3. I'll spare you the details, but clearly this is take 3, and things have changed since take 1 and 2 that were done in the same day. So you get an extra FO now. But yes, thank you for joining us. We have 3 fantastic episodes for you this month. The first one will be a conversation I had earlier this week with Crystal from Factory Girl Designs. Crystal has designed a beautiful summer top for us that will be launching on May 20th. The plan was for that to launch on April 8th, but we have run into a snafu with the mill, and the mill is out of linen, therefore they're out of Coleman, which means we're out of Coleman. So launching a new sweater using Coleman didn't really make sense. So that's been postponed a little bit, but Crystal and I still had a wonderful conversation about that on Tuesday. So that'll be your first segment. Second segment will be back here with me in like 2 minutes, going over my works in progress, some FOs, some shopping I did over the last month, and then because I was at an event every weekend the month of April, so I did do some shopping, some gift shopping, some personal things, and none of it's yarn. So we'll have that for you. And then segment 3, I will be honest with you, is not what we intended segment 3 to be. I have a very energetic kitten. So if you hear squeaks, that's a kitten. Segment 3, our intention, Dax and I talked about this last month, was really to carry you through everything that it takes to get ready for a large show like Carolina Fiber Fest that we had in the middle of. And the result that you get is actually a really great reflection of how much work it is. We did the best we could getting parts and pieces together for you, and we will do our best to edit that together and tell a comprehensive story. But there are details missing, I'm going to be honest, because it is a ton of work. So like I said, Dax and I did our best to record some things and share details of that event with you. So I think you'll get a good sense, but there are parts missing. So I apologize for that. And if that is something you're interested in seeing more of, let us know. We have lots of shows still to come over the course of the year, and we will do our best to maybe fill in some of the details that we missed with Carolina, or if you have specific questions about that process, we can certainly do our best to touch on those. But again, I apologize. It doesn't still tell the story we had intended it to tell. But I hope you still enjoy that. So next up is Crystal. And thanks again for joining us for the April episode of Here's the Stitch. All right. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, very good. And little Sophie here with us
little
too today.
Sophie. Welcome. So you and I have never met.
No,
This is the first. Yeah, this is the first time we've worked on a project together, and I'm super excited about it. I love what you've designed out of Coleman. So, yeah, gonna ask you a couple of questions and hopefully let our podcast viewers get to know you a little bit before your new design using Coleman comes out. So let's start off. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I am Crystal. I'm based in Minnesota. My brand is Factory Girl Design. And I started knitting, almost 15 years ago. So long, but not as long as many people. I tried to learn when I was very young from my grandma, but always struggled because the only reason why I attribute it struggling is she was left-handed and I'm right-handed, and I just couldn't get the motions down from the way how she was teaching me because she did everything left-handed for that. So I never learned until I was an adult, and what prompted me was finally a shop opening in my town here in Minnesota. And I popped in and took a lesson and like saw all this beautiful yarn and bags and tools. And I just kind of fell head over heels in love and just dove right in. And it's become, um, I don't know. It's become a very good, healthy addiction, I think. Um, because it's other than the fact that you can spend a lot of money doing it too, but it's something I take with me everywhere. And when I travel, it's just become that part of my traveling, which I think many people experience, but it also helps to keep me calm and collected during those traveling moments, which can be a little stressful. And so that's like it's my therapy, I call it, because I have a personality that can get pretty anxious or pretty intense if things don't quite go my way. But anyway, so I've been knitting for a while, and then I decided I wanted to try to tweak things and make them work better for me. Being plus size, there for years there weren't a ton of patterns out there that went such a broad spectrum of sizing, and so I kind of had to learn how to adjust so I could knit various patterns. And through that, started test knitting more and then dabbling more and more into my own designs. And so I think it's 8 years now that I have been designing. Mainly started out with accessories. I love a good cowl. And but
Me too. That is
I
my
don't
go-to design.
yeah, me too. It's like so easy to take with you when you're working on it, but then also it's like the perfect little accessory to throw on if you're cool somewhere. And they fit into your bag no matter how full your purse is, your tote is. You can always fit one in there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And then from accessories, then I finally launched in and took the big step into garments, and I'm doing more and more of that now as I've learned a lot more about my body and the shape and what fits and what doesn't work, and what I've learned from other people too as I've worked with them over test knitting over time, and just a lot of different research in that too. So that's a little bit about me. Oh, well, in addition, this is not my full-time job. It's my hobby. But my daytime job, my full-time job is I run a manufacturing business. My parents started a business 40 years ago and have since retired, and I've taken things over. So that's what I do during the day. And then in the evenings, I work on designing and knitting and all the other fun stuff. So it's good times.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's where the factory girl design comes from.
Yes, yes. The more I kept thinking about things, I'm like, it really makes sense. I'm truly a factory girl. I grew up in this business, sweeping floors and welding and packing parts, and then eventually got a promotion to come and work in the office. And then from there, things grew, and I left for a number of years, but then came back. And every job that I've had, whether it's been with my family's business or with other businesses, has always been in manufacturing. So I'm that factory girl. So I just figured it worked out well.
It's great. It's a very unique name, and I love the branding. You sent me, I guess it was when you sent me the sample. You sent me a beautiful package of little goodies, and yeah, I love all of it. It's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
So let's talk about how this project came about. So you and I worked together very, very briefly with India Untangled several years ago. Remember this?
Barely. But yeah, it's kind of coming back to me a little bit.
So I had mistaken you for somebody else. So when I reached out to you, I actually thought I was reaching out to somebody else. And then I thought I was reaching out to somebody else as a person, but I knew I was reaching out to you as a designer. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Like I had crossed your face with another face, essentially. So I knew it was your design, your work that I really liked and I wanted to collaborate with, but as a human, I pictured you as somebody completely different. I'd crossed cross some people. So I reached out to you. Well, let me back up. We've got a lot coming up over the next, what is it, I don't even know how many months, 7 months, 8 months, 6 months, something like that over the rest of the year. We have 9 new patterns launching, and you are number 2. You were supposed to be number 1, but now you're number 2.
It happens.
It happens. So tell me a little bit about the yarn I sent you and your impressions of it, and kind of how you ended up with the design you ended up with.
Yes. So I worked with Coleman, which I absolutely loved. You know, sometimes the spring yarns or the lightweight yarns that you receive, sometimes they can be a little crunchy or just not, they just don't feel good in your hands. And when I got the yarn, first of all, I couldn't believe how heavy it was, because the skeins are 115 grams, which is like so nice to have that much yardage in these hanks. But, I just loved it. So there's a sample here. With the combination with the silk in there too, it just makes it just drape perfectly. And the stitch definition, I was so impressed with the stitch definition. I love it. In fact, I still have a little bit of leftover, and I've been plotting like what you had sent me for the sample, and I was like, what can I make with this, because I still need to have something else in my repertoire, like, of projects and things that I pull from. But when you reached out to me, first I was so excited because I've always admired your yarns and what you guys have been doing. I have not worked with them much. It just hasn't fit into my schedule yet. So when you reached out last year, I was like, oh yes, please, this is perfect, just what I needed. So thank you for that. But
Yeah.
when I was looking at the yarns, the Coleman really stood out to me because of it being lightweight. And I've been dreaming about a nice comfy tee, something you can throw over, either wear on its own, throw it over a sundress, just something that was really flexible and transitional for the different seasons. Being in Minnesota, it's the middle of April nearly now, and it still feels like winter some days, and other days it feels like the dead of summer. So being able to design something that I could wear during this time of the year was perfect. And now I can't wait to wear it even more because the temps are getting warmer, and I'll be able to wear it around a lot more. But that was really what I wanted. I wanted to come out with something that would be a nice, versatile, lightweight piece, but something you could layer, so it's really something you can wear all year round too if you wanted to.
Yeah, that was something when we launched Coleman, we expected it to be a summer a summer yarn. And then as we got closer to fall, we were like, we need some fall colors because there's no reason to stop working with this. Particularly for us here in North Carolina. I mean, you put sleeves on Coleman and you can wear it a good bit of the winter here. For people not myself who think it's warm all winter, a Coleman sweater is perfect for winter in this climate. For me, I freeze. It's not warm enough for me.
The same way. I mean, we can have a winter and not have any snow. It can be in the 40s, and I'm like, it's freezing here. Where are my wool sweaters? But yeah, that is one thing I really want to do is knit a full length, like long sleeve sweater with the Coleman too, because again, it lends itself to everything. And I love wearing sweaters during the spring and summer and fall. Like literally I wear them year round. It's just even, except when it's probably 102 outside, I'm not going to have a sweater, but I have one in my bag if I don't have a shawl, because when you go inside, it's freezing with the air conditioning. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
But no, I love it. It was a lot of fun. And to play with the colors too. Well, you mentioned the colors. The options that you have right now are perfect. I mean, there's something for everybody and something totally across the board. So it was hard to choose which colors to use. And every time I keep looking at them, I'm like, oh, that would play together well, and that would play together well. So I need more.
Yeah. Good luck.
Soon.
So the reason you are new design number two instead of new design number one is Coleman is currently back ordered until early June. So we didn't want to put your pattern out this week and nobody be able to order the yarn for it. So we're pushing you back a couple weeks.
Yep. It'll be here before we know it though.
It
So
will. It will. Yes, for sure. So, one of the things I really like about what you did is you're the first designer that has worked with Coleman in multiple colors in the same project. None of our other designers have done that. Everybody's stuck to a solid color garment. So, I really love that in the sample behind you, you've got four colors.
there's 4 colors in this one, and then the one I'm wearing has 3 colors. So there's the dark purple port, and then I think it's I forget the dark gray color, and then the light sand color too. And then this one has 4 colors, so there's smoke, the lavender color, your maple color, and then the light green color.
Yeah, the lemongrass.
Yes, lemongrass. I'm like, I know it. It's like an herby color. But yeah, that was the other thing. I really wanted to do something with color work. And this is a super simple pattern where you're just using 2 colors at one time. So if you're a beginner in color work, it's very easy to do and tackle. You begin from the top and you knit to the bottom. So it's a top down piece. You do knit the front and the back flat, and then you join it. But the great thing is once you have your piece finished and you bind off, you're done. There's no sleeves. There's nothing else to do to finish the piece. So it's very quick. I had test knitters that finished it in just a couple of weeks time and less depending on the size. So I'm really excited for it. The pattern will have 13 sizes, and it's meant to be worn with a little bit of ease, so you can wear it from anywhere from 2 inches, almost no ease, up to 8 inches of ease. So it really depends on what your fit and preferences. And then in the pattern too, there's also instructions and guidelines to help you make it your perfect fit. So if you need to add bust darts in here, if you need to adjust the underarm or the bicep area, or you want a tighter neckline, all those instructions are included so that you can, make it how you want. So it's your perfect fit.
Yeah, bust darts are my new favorite obsession.
Aren't they the best?
I don't know. I've yet to actually execute them. Yeah. I've yet to finish a project where
Okay. Well, once you do, it's like mind-blowing how much better your pieces fit you. So it's great. I didn't know, like, it was one of those things I didn't incorporate, and I was always like, I kept adding length to things and doing all this stuff or making it a bigger size to try to get everything to fit proportionately and not have your front always be shorter than your back. And once I started incorporating bust darts in there, it's been a great fit. Not everybody needs it, but those that do, it makes a huge difference to have that, your just comfort of fit level, and things don't ride up and move the way how you don't want them to.
Yeah. Yeah, I currently have 2 projects underway with bust darts in them. I have yet to finish either.
You'll get there.
I'll get there. But yes, something taking my personal knitting to the next level and really honing in on fit and making things fit better. So awesome.
Great.
So anything else you want to touch on?
The pattern's going to be out May 20th, and then we'll have I think there'll be some kits available too, but
Yep.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have so you'll be at H&H with us in a couple of weeks, the wholesale show, and I haven't even told you this. So our graphic designer Hannah, who does phenomenal work, Hannah came up with this idea for the India Entangled Lounge to create little. She's done this on social media a couple of different times, where she actually takes the pattern and draws it, so you can kind of color it in.
well, that's cool.
So your new sweater, and it's called the London Sky Tee, right?
Yes.
So yours is going to be one of the little coloring pages that we've made. So you can color in and play with your colors.
Oh,
And
that's so fun. I can't wait to see that.
yeah,
Yay. Yes,
so
I can't believe H&H is just a couple of weeks away. Like this.
we're not talking about it.
I know. It gives me heart palpitations. Like once we hit May, it's like the year just flies right on by.
Yep. No, we're not talking about the to-do list and what still needs to be done for
Yeah.
H&H.
Yeah.
But
No.
Hannah's working on the coloring pages.
No, that'll be awesome. No, this was such a fun project. I think everybody who knits it is going to enjoy it, and especially if you use the Coleman yarn with your project too, you're going to be really happy with it. So I can't wait. I'm headed to Arizona here soon, and I am taking this with me. I probably shouldn't wear it, but until it releases. But the photos are all done, so I'm like, I'm gonna wear it. I need to wear it out and about. It's just too perfect to throw on with a pair of cropped jeans and go. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward.
awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, thank you. Oh, we got to do the rapid fire questions.
yay!
All right.
These make me nervous.
Oh no, there's no reason for them to be nervous about them. Cats or dogs?
Dogs,
Coffee or tea?
coffee,
Sweet or savory?
both.
Together?
Yes.
What is your least favorite stitch or technique?
Purling.
Okay.
It takes too long, but you got to do it.
Yeah. What is your current work in progress?
I got a lot. I have a tank top, a pullover, and a new shawl all in process right now.
Nice. And then, if you could meet one knitting celebrity, who would you like to meet?
Hohi Locatelli. Yeah, she seems like the sweetest person. So, and I love her patterns.
Yeah.
Love
She is
her.
sweet. I will say that. I have had the pleasure of meeting her,
That's
and
fabulous.
she is incredibly sweet, and she's an incredible teacher. So
Yes.
I got to take one of her classes
Oh, that'd be
many
so
years
great.
ago. But
That
yeah,
would be so great. Yeah. No, I really do adore all of her patterns. Every single one I've knit has always been just beautiful and so well written. So, yeah.
awesome. Well, Crystal, thank you for your time
Thank
with our
you.
misbehaving kitten back here. And yeah, I am looking forward to the pattern releasing in a few weeks. So our podcast watchers get a little sneak peek here. It will be out May 20th. We'll have kits for it. And yeah, and if you're going to H&H, come see us. We'll have the gray sample there.
No, can't wait. Looking forward to it. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Segment 2, whips, FOs, and some shopping. Again, take 3. But there's no bonus content for you. When I recorded this earlier in the week, didn't have a second finished object for you. So let's get into it. Like I alluded to in the intro, I did some shopping and none of it is yarn. So the first thing I finished, sorry, now the kittens are getting dinner and losing their minds. All right, so the first thing I finished is a project I had no intention of casting on. But like I alluded to in the intro, Coleman is currently on the back burner. We will not be able to restock Coleman until late May, early June at the soonest. So when we weren't launching Crystal's London Sky Tee in April, we needed to figure out something to have for you guys. So a little backstory. Our recollection wrap is a shawl that I had a sample maker make for us back when we were first launching Lada. I thought it was an amazing way to show off the color range with the broken garter stitch, and that sample to this day continues to be one of our most popular Lada samples. And then Tiff Nealon has recently released two new cowls, the variation cowl. There's number 1, which is smaller, and number 2, which is the bigger option. And when this came out, I instantly knew this is going to be a big hit. Everybody's going to love this cowl. And so what I did was I actually recreated it in a very similar color scheme as the Recollection wrap. So it's a better price point, to be honest. It's a $70 kit versus like $150 something for the Recollection wrap. And it's a much smarter, much faster project. If you remember, recently made the Grid Gambit cowl. That was a really quick potato chippy project for me. Really a great palette cleanser, and I really enjoyed that. And the Recollection wrap ended up being the same thing for me. So it is 5 colors. You start here with your main color 1, which is for us Hugo, and then main color 2 is, in this case, Paloma, and then you have contrast color 1, which is Sundrop, contrast color 2, which is Teal Feather, and then contrast color 3, which is Tar. And then you essentially repeat that pattern twice, doing a variation of increases and decreases to get yourself kind of an awkward shaped little shawl that you then seam together. The pattern does suggest usually using color 3 for the bind off. But because we've put together kits for this in petites, contrast color 3, which for us is the Tar, really uses a lot of yarn. And I was not sure I would be able to finish the bind off with contrast color 3. So I went back to contrast color 1 because I knew I had plenty of that. And I love the way Sundrop pops. Sundrop is one of my favorite Latta colors. It was actually the first color I knit with when we started developing Latta. So it's a little asymmetrical bandana cowl thing, and I love it. It's the perfect pop of color, especially this time of year when the days can start off really cool and then warm up, or vice versa if you've got storms rolling in like we do today. It started as a beautiful day this morning, and then we ended up with hail this afternoon. So I really enjoyed this. We have 2 different versions of the kit on our website. We've got the kit just like I knit it, and then we also have a more neutral version, very similar to the Fleetwood wrap that is also by Crystal that we have a sample of. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is a very unique swatch. So we will be going to H&H in May. That is a wholesale show. And we want to really show off what you can do with Coleman and Latta. And I was recently at the Tidewater Knitting Retreat, and Bristol Ivy was there, and Bristol gave a fantastic lecture on pie shawls and how pie shawls work. I'm now realizing that I totally screwed up this pie shawl, but that's okay. You can't tell. So Crystal, wow, it's been a day. Bristol had shown an example of 3 mini pie shawls that she had done also on a hoop of some kind. And I thought those were just a fantastic way to show off Coleman without doing a swatch and showing how well Coleman does with texture. So that's what I've done here. I have done a mini pie shawl out of Dazzler on a hoop. Attaching the swatch to the hoop took longer than making the swatch, but it's done and I think it looks beautiful. So we have plans to make 2 more of these for H&H. So those are my 2 FOs. I have 2 works in progress. One of them, both of them you have already seen. So we are Our group for Maryland Sheep and Wool Weekend, we tend to do a knit along. Honestly, we tend to do a knit along for every event. But we're doing our knit along for Maryland this year. And instead of picking a project, we picked a color. I had done a special color called Dugong for the Virginia Beach Yarn Getaway, which our Maryland crew typically attends. I did this Dugong color on Latta, Coleman, and Bernice. So the plan was for everybody to purchase at least a skein of one of those 3 variations of Dugong and make a project with it. So I know 3 of us are doing sweaters. So there's 2 Latta sweaters and a Coleman sweater. And I honestly don't know what the rest of the gang's doing. So here's mine. This is the Sheep Camp sweater. Like I said, I'm using Dugong. I am on the ribbing at the bottom. I'm about halfway through the ribbing. I would like to finish the ribbing this weekend and move on to the sleeves. The color work at the top is Cream City Yarns exclusive colorway of Spin Cycle called Cream on Top. I think it's actually absolutely beautiful. I think I've mentioned this before, but I had 2 skeins of cream on top and I didn't need the yardage for both skeins. I could have gotten away with just 1 skein because I did some color manipulation to limit the amount of this blue and limit the amount of the brown, especially the second time. I ended up needing to break into both skeins of yarn. So I have tons of scraps left over that hopefully can find a home in another project because I think this colorway is beautiful. While completely out of my wheelhouse, like these fall tones are not usually what I gravitate to, but I am super excited about this sweater from Maryland. So that is one work in progress. My other work in progress is still socks for my brother-in-law for Christmas. I have moved on to the toe on the first sock. I have moved away from my 9-inch circs onto a brand new needle. I purchased this needle at the Carolina Fiber Fest because I was previously using an Addi Sock Rocket and I was just done with dealing with a cord that I didn't get along with. So I have yet again no idea what this yarn is. It was in my stash. It's Panthers, Carolina Panthers E colors. So perfect for my brother-in-law. So those will be his Christmas socks. I like to knit him 2 pairs of socks so he can get Christmas and July socks and then can also get Christmas socks. And we'll see what this year holds. I don't currently know. Moving on to purchases. So our first event of April was a weekend here at Editions Bookstore with Tanis Gray. I made no purchases that day. Our second event was the Carolina Fiber Fest, and I made, I believe, 1 purchase there. I can only think of 1. And that is something I'm not going to show you because it's gifts for everybody in our group for Maryland Sheep and Wool. But I will tell you, I did get it from Chelsea at Cottontail Farm. So little hint of what may be coming for our Maryland friends. So I bought that at Carolina. The following weekend, I was at the Tidewater Knitting Guild retreat, their Knitting by the Sea retreat, and I kind of fell down that day. So I ended up making a couple of purchases and a trade. So I'm going to start with my trade because honestly, I think it's what I'm the most excited about. So her name, I can't remember her name, but the company is Tinker's Hollow. And hi, kitten. Hi. You're Margot. What are you doing here? You don't belong downstairs. Rules don't apply. So I absolutely fell in love with her jewelry. I was just enamored. It is scrap pieces of wood. Her husband is a woodworker, and she uses the scraps to make jewelry and shawl pins. She had a bunch of shawl pins, all kinds of beautiful things. So we actually made a trade. My initial trade was for this. I absolutely fell in love with this necklace. And I am embarrassed to say I have not worn it yet. I actually had to go hunting for it to find it. In the first 2 takes of this podcast, I was going to insert pictures of it. But now you get to see it. This is what I fell down on. And so I offered up a trade, and she said yes. And turns out this trade, let's just say she wanted more yarn than the value of this. And I was blown away by that, first of all. Like, I don't know how this thing wasn't like $50, but it was not. So for her to get more yarn to be able to make a project, I picked out these, and these are just as equally as stunning. If you don't know, my first profession was architecture, and these just give me all the Frank Lloyd Wright vibes. So these were my trade. My purchase, and I couldn't even tell you who this was from a bag maker, and I think I'm gonna make this a little cosmetic pouch instead of a knitting bag. But I fell in love with the hardware. I mean, the fabric is fantastic as well, but the hardware, it's like I don't even know. It's kind of purse-like, vintage pursey-like. It's a metal bar that connects around. So yeah, this is going to become a travel makeup case. Oh, and I'm just now realizing it's got a 2-way zipper. Even better. So I do not remember who the bag maker was for this, but it's stunning. And then the last purchase I made at Tidewater was actually a gift for Dax. When we were at Carolina, Dax had learned how to spin. I believe it was Hillside Farm. I may have that wrong. But Dax took a little spinning lesson, drop spindle lesson at Carolina with the folks there, and fell in love. And Dax's birthday was actually the weekend I was at Tidewater. So I thought it would be a great idea to get Dax a spindle and some fiber. So I did. I bought him a spindle. I know nothing about drop spindles, but I was told you want a heavy drop spindle as you're getting started, and you want the biggest like circle at the top. So I bought Dax one of those from a little old man who did woodworking. He had a lot of bowls and things like that, and knew nothing about spinning, but had some spinning, had some drop spindles there. So I picked that up for Dax. Dax is really enjoying playing with that. And then you can't get a drop spindle without fiber. So I actually was gifted fiber by the lovely folks at CCM Fibers. So Dax is working away and becoming a drop spindler. So Dax does know how to knit at this point, but has not really taken to it. They can do it, but it's I don't think it's their jam. But drop spindling seems to be sticking. So we are bringing Dax to the dark side of the fiber world. And then the last weekend of the month, we were at Carolina. We were at Craft Fest here in Charlotte, and I again made 0 purchases. All of my shopping for the month did not involve yarn. So. All right, that's it for this. And then our last segment is going to be a montage of video for prepping for Carolina. So I hope you enjoy it, and I will talk to you guys next month. Bye. So one of the very first things I do when we start prepping for Carolina is I actually mock up the booth in a program called SketchUp. This is a program I used in my former life as an architect, so this isn't something most indie dyers are going to, one, have access to, and probably not easily understand. So the first thing I do is I mock up the booth. So we will, at Carolina, have a 10 by 20 space. So this is what the booth is going to look like. We, in this program, have kits of pieces of all of our booth mock-ups in different variations. All of the furniture and fixtures we have is all here. So, like I said, this is what the Carolina booth is going to look like. We've got an aisle here and an aisle here, and then we will have another vendor here and another vendor behind us. So after this gets all mocked up, I then export this image and bring it over to InDesign, where it gets put onto several sheets. So here you can see everything we need for fixtures to actually build this. That is the overall what it's going to look like. And then we then have this page where we lay out what we're actually bringing, what's actually going on these fixtures. So our Coleman table is going to be set up like it normally is. We'll have the Coleman skeins hanging here, some signage, and then we'll have Coleman laying on the table. And then we'll have backstock of the Coleman in the wool boxes like we always do. So that is all listed right here. This is some additional information for the previous page, which is this. So this is a view of that same model with what we're going to bring. So these are the super skeins laid out, and these are actually based on where those hangers actually go on the grid wall. So this is an accurate representation of the grid wall and all of our fixtures. So you can see that's where we'll be hanging super skeins. This is where we'll be hanging classics. Obviously the signage is in the wrong place. And then all of the Bernice, some hand spun, Lottie, and then this will be samples of all of our non-superwash product. So samples with Lottie, samples with Bernice, samples with Lana. So that is where everything's gonna go. We also have a page showing everything we are bringing for inventory. So this spreadsheet shows what we already have in stock, what's being dyed and when, and how many of them we want to bring. And then obviously if they're highlighted, that's what we need more of. And so this is a whole list of inventory of what we will be bringing with us. And if all is correct, all of those things are listed on these few pages. So all of this part of the planning happens usually a month before the show, sometimes more, depending on how big the show is, if it's a new show, if we're trying to work things out, that kind of thing. And then this inventory sheet is what Dax uses to build the die plan based on what we're low on.